And so in this session, we're going to look at reporting in the Dataverse. I looked at the PL200 material, and there's not a lot on reporting in there. The only way it's really mentioned is reporting wizards and document templates, which is quite interesting, because most, a lot of the reports are done with views, charts, and dashboards. So that's what we're going to look at tonight. We're going to look at views, charts, dashboards. Most of the time we'll spend tonight, we'll be looking at views, charts, and dashboards, really, because that's the reporting functionality that you'll use most within Dataverse and with its model-driven apps, essentially. We'll do a quick overview of Reporting Wizard, really just to let you know it's there, to give you an idea of how often. I don't think I've made a Reporting Wizard report in a couple of years now. SSR reports are another one. I did do one recently, but it's really just we're literally just going to mention it just to say that it is there. It's another way that you can run reports. We're not going to go deep into SSRS reports because they're really difficult to do and it takes a bit of time. And again, we very rarely do them with Power BI and everything coming out now. We'll look at embedding Power BI dashboards into model-driven apps, how that's done. And again, we'll look at a quick overview of Word and Excel templates, so the document templates area, which I think is quite underused within Dataverse, and some people don't even know it's there. So that's what we're going to cover. A few slides, as I said, around views, charts, and dashboards, and then we'll get straight into actually building them. So this in front of you, if you've not seen it before, is a dashboard. You'll notice, so that's the dashboard, and it's made up of different components. The different components can be charts first. Charts, so that's a chart that's there. They can be views, which are a list of records. And they can also be web resources as well. They can be web resources, Power BI dashboards, and they can be iframes as well. I have used web resources and iframes in implementations. We did an implementation for the Rugby World Cup, and there's a kind of countdown thing. So every time they logged in, they've seen a countdown to the Rugby World Cup within their dashboard. They can use them, we have used them, but most of the time it's charts and views that get added to dashboards. That's the wrong slide. Sorry, this slide first. There's two different types of views, charts and dashboards. There's personal and there's system. And there's, so the difference between them is that for a personal dashboard, you create them as a user within the app. System dashboards, you do them as you create them as a maker or a citizen developer, or a consultant, a system implementer within a solution file. Personal views, charts, and dashboards, they're for your own personal use, and system dashboards are for the use of the organization. So if you create a system dashboard, that's the kind of dashboard that you want the rest of the organization to see. Personal ones you can still share, so you can share your personal ones with other users. So usually when you start off with charts and dashboards, and this is where I would recommend you start, and this is where we'll start today, and creating some personal views, personal charts, and personal dashboards, and get used to them, fiddle about with them, play them, and then they will show you how to create them as system dashboards. System dashboards can't be shared; they're visible to the whole organisation. And I'll go back a slide because that's the one that's supposed to be there. The benefit of using views, charts, and dashboards is that they provide a real-time view of the data. So if the requirement is to provide a real-time view of the data, then it's going to be a view, chart, or dashboard. Because if you use Power BI or export to Excel templates, even what's the other ones? SSRS reports. It's not real time. It doesn't refresh. So the benefit of using views, charts, and dashboards within a model-driven app is that you're actually seeing real data. Power BI has to schedule refreshes, etc. And before I start, there's 4 levels of access. So I like to describe, when I train clients, I always try and explain this to them as well. And I'll point out some of the kind of gotchas that happens when you start creating personal dashboards and when users start sharing them. The first level is at the bottom, is the data. So in order to access the dashboard and see the charts and the views within it, you must access the data. So that's where I start building my dashboard. The data is kind of handled with security rules, but if you don't see the data, regardless of what dashboards, charts, and views you've got, you're not going to see anything. And then the next level up is the views. Again, you've got your data, you create a view on top of your data, and then that leads into creating a chart. So if you've got access to a dashboard or a chart, but you don't have access to the view or the data, you're not going to see anything. And then again, next level up, chart, and at the top, dashboard. So the dashboard can contain charts, views, and they all contain data. So again, I think that's a good way of explaining it, because you start from that bottom level, check you've got access to the data, build a view on top of the data, and make sure whoever you're sharing it with's got access to the view, create a chart on top of the view, and then create a dashboard to pull everything together. So we'll just share, I'll just pull up my trial environment, and we'll start building some reports just to show you how it works. We'll start with personal views, charts, and dashboards, and then we'll go into some of the other ones, because like I said, we're aiming at someone who's beginning or just refreshing their skill set. So if you're starting off, the easiest place to get started is start off with personal ones, and then we can, because it's just easier to play with rather than going into solution and publishing changes all the time, customizations all the time. Now, again, I am using Dynamics 365 trial. Oops, I'll need to cut that one out. Let's see. So I'm using a Dynamics 365 trial, and I've got Dynamics 365 for sales installed on it. Don't be put off by that. The reason I'm using Dynamics 365 for sales is because you get loads of sample data out the back of it, but you can do all these charts, all this functionality can be done within just a normal model-driven Power App. Like I said, for starting off, it's the Dynamics 365 for sales and the customer service one's really good, because it comes with a load of data that you can install, sample data really easily, and it comes up with a whole load of pre-made charts and dashboards and things like that. So my trial is a Dynamics 365 trial. I'd recommend that when you're starting to play about with reporting within Dataverse, you start off with Dynamics 365 one as well, even if you're not familiar with Dynamics 365, because it's just a model-driven app at the end of the day. So let's go, we're in Office, and we'll go to Power Apps. And as I said, we're going to open the Sales app as a user. So we'll go to Apps, make sure we're in the right environment. That always helps. Let's go to Apps, and we're going to use the Sales Hub app, because like I said, that's the one that's got a whole load of good stuff in it that's already pre-built. And I think you said, Jamie, as well, that you find the best way to learn things is to look at what's already built, like the Dataverse for Teams app, and start picking it apart. I find that the same as well. So this is a dashboard within a model-driven app. And when you open your model-driven app and you go to the dashboards area, you can select the dashboard that you see. And it'll only show dashboards that are within your app or that you've created. So we'll see some charts, we can see some views, and we can scroll. And a dashboard can have 6 components maximum by default. There are ways, I don't know if you still can, but there were ways of extending it to more than 6 via PowerShell. I wouldn't recommend it. 6 is enough to have on the one screen. So let's start by creating the very first level in our kind of pyramid of access was data. We're going to be using the opportunity entity. I said it's Dynamics 365 for sale, but this could be any entity. The reason we're using opportunity is because there's good data in there. One thing that's, again, difficult when you're training on or when you're learning about charts, views, dashboards, and reporting in general is the data. So if you've not got any data in the system, it's really hard to visualize what and see what your chart or your view is going to look like. So within our model-driven app, we have an entity, a table, sorry, called opportunity. and we've got a view here. And if you're new to Power Apps, you might not be familiar with views, but a view is a list of records that you can see. And you've got your view selector, and you can see your list of system views there. So let's open one that has a bit more meaning there. So this is a list of a view of all open opportunities. And here it behaves like Excel, like I said. If you click on one of the columns, you can sort it. You can also add filters there as well. You can also add filters with this wee icon here. So if we click that, we get a query builder that pops out. So we can see the filter that's on our data there. This is only showing us a list of opportunities where the status equals open. And we can add more conditions to that filter. So let's go ahead and build our query up and filter our data a wee bit more. So we'll add a row. A good one, again, because I know the data, is estimated revenue. So this shows all the attributes, all the columns that are on your data source. Estimated revenue, and based on what we choose in this area here, determines the operations that are available to us. So we've got estimated revenue, we've got a whole load of operations there. We can choose equals, does not equal, is greater than or equal to. If we change that to say, a date field, a date column, we've got a whole load more operations. The date one seems to grow. It seems to grow every time I look at it. We've got a whole load of other different operations that we can do on our column to filter our data. Let's go back to estimated revenue. And for example, we'll say, I don't know why it's pre-populated that. That's interesting. So we'll say estimated revenue is greater than £10,000. I don't think I've changed the currency on my trial yet. Estimated revenue is greater than 10,000. And if I click apply, that'll apply a filter to this view. So you've seen that we had 40 now. It was 50 before. We can remove the filter. You see 50. So we've got 50 opportunities, but when we apply our estimated revenue filter, we put 10,000 in again. I put 100,000 in there. Put 100,000. No, let's just do 1,000. So we get more back. Oops. Let's try again. So estimated revenue as equals, that's what we did. We did equals instead of is greater than. So is greater than 10,000. And we see we get 40. So we've filtered our data. So that's us filtering an existing system view in the system. Notice it's got a little asterisk here. That indicates that it's filtered. And then what we could do here, if we click the ellipse at the top, if we find that we're constantly filtering that view, we can click Save As here. Sorry, that's View As. So we can click Create View. Sorry, I've clicked the wrong bit again. It's this little arrow here. Create View, allow you to save the filters as a new view. We can give it a name for opportunities over 10K and save it. And that's us created a personal view. So we've already added value there. So if you're, again, find yourself constantly applying filters to existing views, you can quickly create a personal view. And that appears under your My Views area here. And it behaves the same as any other view in your model-driven app. You can pin it as default. And you can even filter that view and add filters to that and save that as views as well. That's the easiest way to get started with views. And I would suggest you just familiarize yourself with this query builder here. We'll look at another way to build queries in a second through Advanced Find, but this seems to be this is a new interface. It's quite a new addition to model-driven apps. So this looks like it may be getting a push and may replace Advanced Find. We'll have a look at Advanced Find in a second as well. So in this query builder, we're not just limited to the columns that are on our table. We could also add build complex queries based on the related tables. And we do that by clicking Add, and we can add a related entity. And that'll give us a list of all the records that are related to our table. We're going to we'll look at the related account, so the parent account of that record. It'll say contains data. You can change it to does not contain data. So we're going to look at all parent accounts where the status equals, also all opportunities where the status is open, where estimated revenue is greater than 10,000, and when the parent account will look for, we'll look for the city. So address 1 city, because this gives us access to all the columns that are on the related entity. So we've got address 1 city, and one that we've got is Columbus. And so we're just building up a query and segmenting our data based on that query. Hit apply, and we get only a few opportunities. And we can make those queries as complex as we want. We can go up layers, we can go down and get layers lower than fill it. We can really build up a complex query. We can also add conditions to that query. So if I were to select these ones, can I add group? I can click make group. I can change that to an and, on, or. By default, it's always and. So if you wanted to say or, just select the rows in the query, select make group, and then you can change it to an or. We can ungroup as well. So that's us filtering our data here. But what if we want to see more columns in here? You can't add the columns in here, as far as I know anyway. You have to add them in Advanced Find. So to open Advanced Find, click this little icon up here. This is our Advanced Query Builder. And this will give you a list of all tables within the system that are searchable. It'll default to the entity you're on, and it'll give you the list of views that are in there. So every view that's in the system is in there. Every system view that's in the system is in there. And so is your personal views. And you can see your query there. And you can use the query builder in here as well as doing it at the side. I would suggest that if you're new to model-driven apps, Power Apps, please take some time to play around with the Advanced Find. It's your best friend when it comes to model-driven apps and filtering your data, because views are created from there. In order to get views, once you get views, you can do charts, dashboards, you can do marketing lists, any kind of way of segmenting your data you can do through Advanced Find. You'll find that you use it all the time. So really get familiar with Advanced Find. So within here, we've got our open opportunities over 10K view. If I wanted to add another column, I can click Edit Columns. And let's select, if you add a column here, it'll add it to the end. But you can select in here, and then you can click the Add Columns button, and you can add some columns in there. So let's add the contact column. So I want to see the contact details. And we can also go a level up as well. So if I click OK, it's going to add my column. But if I want to add details from the contact record, I can change the record type here. I can say I want the contact, this one here. So it tells you the name of the field and then the relationship. And then I can choose all the fields on the contact. And you can only go one level up. There's a limitation in it. You can only go one level up. So that's, I think that's still pretty good. Let's say we want the email address, the contact. It's actually primary email. There's email there. And then we can change the properties of these columns to make them wider or make them smaller, what we need. And click OK. Hit results just to test that you're seeing you've got what you're expecting. And then you can save that. And saving that will save over your view, your personal view. And once we close that now, we can refresh the page. And that will appear. Our personal view will be updated. So we've got our 2 new columns. So that's how to create personal views. In order to create a chart on top of that view, and again, we're talking personal charts just now, because that's, again, like I said, I always, if I'm building a chart or dashboard, it's just really easy to play with it first until you really know what you want, or you've met the requirements first, and then you can move it into a solution. But if I was creating a chart of this view, I can click this show chart here, and I can see a list of the system charts in the side here. And I can expand this out and make it bigger. I can change the chart. Now, notice what I can't do with these charts. I can change the data. So if I change the view, the chart will also change. And this is what's good with playing about in here, because you've got your chart and your data right in front of you. So you can just make sure that your chart's looking right and it corresponds to your data. One of the things you'll notice here is there isn't an edit button, because you can't edit system charts within the interface. You need to do that through a solution file. But we can save as. And again, when you're just getting started, it's just better looking what's already built and changing some things. So if we click Save As, we'll give this new view a name. I'm just going to call it Test for now. And hit Save. So it's the exact same chart. It's looking at this data that's in my pane here, but I've got a lot more options available to me. And one of those options is Edit. And this will come up with the chart wizard here. So a few things to look at in this chart. This chart was based on the top 10 accounts. So that tells us, top 10 accounts by estimated revenue. So it looks at the opportunities potential customer. It looks at, top opportunities by estimated revenue. It looks at the estimated revenue, and it gives you a sum of the estimated revenue. So if an account's got 2 opportunities with 10 grand each, it'll add them together and show you 20 grand on the bar chart here. The legend, it's worth looking at what this means. The legend is the bit that's down the bottom, this axis here, and the horizontal category axis is for some reason up there because it's a bar. But the another thing to note here is this icon here, the top 10 items. We can change that to top 3, top 5, or we can remove it altogether by clicking that. If we remove it altogether, we just get all the opportunities, all the accounts of all the opportunities. So if we change this category here, so say we want to just amend this chart, and we'll change the category to, let's look at probability. So probability is a good one. Find it, maybe up here. One thing to note here, I didn't notice this for ages, the columns at the top are the columns that are in the view that you had when you started creating the chat. And that's something that I just didn't notice. I always wondered why they were in the top and the rest of them were down the bottom. But these are the ones that are in the view, and these are the ones that are in the background on the table. We can change that to probability. We'll see we've got probabilities down the side, and we have a sum of estimated revenue here as well. And we could change this, say, to a pie. So again, this gives us our estimated revenue. This doesn't really mean much to us just now, but let's just change the legend to, or the series to, what's a good one? Let's look at status reason. So you can see the best thing, the way to learn how to best do this is to play around. And this preview is very small, but because we've got our view and our chart open in the background as well, once we start changing these things around, so change it to a pie, we've removed the top count, got status reason, and we've got probability. We can save and close that, and we can see our chart in there. And again, we can change the view to see what effect that has on our chart. So that's us created a personal chart. Again, no one can see it at this moment except us. We've got a personal view and a personal chart. So let's pull these views and charts together into a dashboard. And again, it's a personal dashboard. As we're just playing around just now, we'll create it in the dashboards area. If we go to the dashboards area, we can't edit this dashboard because it's a system dashboard, but we can click new and we can click Dynamics 365 dashboard. And this will open the dashboard wizard. Now, you can choose from a set of predetermined templates. I always just go with the first one because I end up moving things around once I'm in the wizard anyway. So I'll just go for a 3-column. This is our dashboard. We'll call it test again. And this is where we pull our 6 components through. We can add, we've got a choice here of what components to add. We can add chart, a list. We can add an assistant. That's really just for Dynamics 365, so we'll leave that alone just now. We can add an iframe and a web resource. Like I said, I have used them, but you need somebody to develop the web resource or iframe in order to input them into your dashboard and make it sit well. And you can also add a Power BI tile to the dashboard as well. And you might not see the Power BI icon, but I'll explain a bit more about that later in the session. So let's insert a chart. Now, to add a chart, we need a record type. We created our chart on opportunities, so we just select our opportunity. And we've got a view. Let's just use all opportunities. And then we choose the chart that we want. So again, if you think back to our pyramid that we had, our different layers, we don't need to worry about the data because the data is there. The next layer is the view. We created a view, so we know that's there. Next layer is a chart. We bring them together into a dashboard and we do it in this screen here. What do we call it? Let's call it test, didn't we? So there's our chart. Our view is just the exact same. You choose the record type. Oops. And the view. That should go to your view. And then you can mess about with the width and things like that over here. So if I wanted this to be bigger, if I click the ellipse here, I can increase the width and increase the height. And it takes a bit of fiddling around to get it looking right, but you can add 6 components, you can build a dashboard within that wizard. So let's save that and close it over. And there's our dashboard. Now again, this dashboard, it's great making a dashboard for yourself for you to use, but it's all better to share. Everything's better shared. So how do we do that? Again, from within the interface, we can share that with other users by clicking Share Dashboard. But watch what happens when I share it with another user. I can say, I've got another user in here, Brogan. Let's just give Brogan read access to that dashboard. You can say write, delete, assign, share. It can be quite easy to lose track of personal dashboards if there's a large company sharing them all willy-nilly, and then they become essential to the business sometimes. So maybe have some sort of, it's worth trying to identify when it should be promoted to maybe a system dashboard. You can share with users and teams. Let's share that with Brogan. And let's see, I'll open up, I've got another web browser open with Brogan in it. And this is the sort of thing we get in support all the time. Especially when personal dashboards are coming around. So let's see if it's shared yet. I should see that coming through. So now that appears as a personal dashboard for Brogan, the other user that I've shared it with. He goes into view it, but he doesn't see anything because he doesn't have privilege to access the Dynamics 365 object. And again, especially in bigger organizations where dashboards and charts are getting shared about left, right, and center, users are quite mature in their Power Platform, Power Apps adoption journey. This is the kind of thing we get. Now, Brogan's a system admin, so he can see data fine. He can see data, and look, you can see a component here called all opportunities. Remember what I said, you have to have permission to see that not just the data, but the view and the chart. Now, Brogan doesn't have access to the view or the chart here. So let's go and share that with him. So it has to be someone who has permission on the dashboard to do this. So me as the owner of the dashboard can go to, the view, and go to opportunities, and the opportunity that we created is, so the view we created is this one. And if I click this saved view here, I can see it there. And there's a tiny wee icon here called share. That's the one we want. And we add Brogan in. So now Brogan's got access to the view and he's got access to the dashboard, but he's still not going to see anything because he hasn't got access to the chart. And the error messages here can vary, but that's always the thing to check. Check first the data. If you've got the right security rules, then the data should be fine. Then the view, and then check the chart as well. So let's just share our chart. Let's go to opportunities and show chart. And we can share it in there. So let's go back to Brogan, and hopefully when we hit refresh, not yet, not yet. There we go. So he can see the chart. And again, like I said, that comes up all the time, especially when large organizations and maybe newer users are creating their own personal dashboards and sharing them. So that's how to create views, dashboards, charts, and share them with other people. But if that gets distributed amongst the organization, it can become quite used quite widely. Some of these dashboards, some of the best used dashboards I've seen have been dashboards built by citizen developers or users. It might be a case to make them into a system dashboard. So as a consultant, as an implementer, we might get a request to create a dashboard, and you do that through a solution file. So if you're familiar with customizations, you go into the Maker portal, you click Solutions. I've already got a solution here, PPN reporting. That's how we're doing it. And again, we need to create 3 things. We can't at the moment, not as far as I'm aware, there's no magic button that you can just create, convert personal to system. You have to recreate them again. I still recommend, I mean, that's sometimes very tempting because you have to create them from scratch anyway. You have to, sometimes tempting just to start creating, especially if you've been doing it for a number of years. You can just go in and create a view or in a dashboard within the solution. But for starting off, I always play around with first because you don't have to publish customizations or anything like that. You can just do them in the app. But once you do come to implement it, you need to copy them. And I'm not going to do it just to save time, but I'll show you how you add them. For the view, you add the table, choose your table. We would do it in opportunities. You create your view in here. You create your opportunity chart in here. Click Add New Chart. And then dashboard's a separate component here. And that's you adding your dashboard. One thing to note as well, there are 2 types of dashboard. I don't think we'll have time to cover the other one, but there's an interactive dashboard. So if you're in a table and you see this dashboards heading here, you can create a dashboard from here. This is a dashboard that is specific to that entity, so it only contains one entity. If your dashboard is going to contain a view of accounts and a view of contacts, then you need a classic dashboard. If it's just contacts, you can create it's called an interactive experience dashboard. You can create one in here. And these dashboards, just to show you what they look like, they're created in very much the same way, except you've got these stream things that are here. But I'll show you what they look like. If I go into my app and I open up the customer service hub, there's a good example in here. So this is an example of an interactive dashboard. You can see these are what are called streams. So again, they're views essentially. And you can add visual filters along the top here. And that is only containing cases. So if it's something like that you're looking for, then it's an interactive experience dashboard created from the entity. And it's much the same process in order to create these and share them. So the next thing I'll do, this is not really so much reporting. Before I go on to the other bits that I'll show you, this is a kind of bonus when we're talking about views and charts. One of the things that a lot of people, especially beginners to the Power Platform and Power Apps, don't realise that you can do is that once you've got a view and a chart, you can actually add these charts to the forms. So if I were to go into my solution, I go to PPN reporting, and say I wanted a view of opportunities associated to that account, but I wanted to see it as a chart, just a visual indicator on the account form. I can open up account, I'll customize the form to show that. Let's go in here. So at the moment, if I open up an account record, let's close that down. I'm using Northwind for my example. So not my account. So we've got our form here. I'm going to add a subgrid of opportunities down under here. And what I'll do, I'll add it as so you can see the chart. And to do that, I'll do it in here first. I'll add the subgrid of opportunities. So if we want to filter it by the related account, we click Show Related Records. So this will show us only records that are related to this parent record, this account. Where are we? Open opportunities. Oops, move over there. Just do all opportunities. So I've got all opportunities there. If I save and publish that, it'll just be a view of records on the form or a subgrid. Might get it sometime today. There we go. I'm going to switch to Classic now. Oh, it's blocked by a pop-up blocker. So within Classic, view, you get a few other options. If you double click that subgrid that's there, we get this show chart only. And if we choose our chart that we created, it was top opportunities. It wasn't a system chart, was it? Let's just go for let's just go for top opportunities. So it's the sales pipeline. I don't know what this will look like, but we'll soon find out. So save it and publish it. So if we go to the account record and refresh the page, you should see a chart down here. Bit squashed, but we could extend that within the form editor. But you can see my point is that we could, instead of adding a subgrid, if you wanted something more visual, you could have a pie chart or something in there. Anybody who opens that form can see open opportunities, and they can expand that chart out, make it nice and big. They can go and see the associated records that make up that chart as well. So that's quite a good feature within your model-driven app on your forms. I will highlight the reporting wizard. It's something that is handy to know about, and then we'll look at, again, very briefly, document templates and then embedding Power BI dashboards. Again, like I said, we're just going to a quick overview of these because I think the importance, especially when you're starting with charts and reporting within Dataverse, it's important to get those views, charts and dashboards done. That's what you spend most of your time doing when it comes to reporting within model-driven apps and Dataverse. So reporting isn't actually on the sitemap anymore. You have to get to it through advanced find, but this is quite an old, this has been in it since before I started. So CRM4, I started using CRM, but it's there, it's in Power Apps as well. It's not just in Dynamics 365. You have this area called reports. Again, you can add this to your sitemap. And it's got a list of out-the-box reports in there that are quite handy. There's a really handy one here called user summary, which if you run that, that's not, if you select it and usually have a run. I might just have to do it from here. So you can add a filter in there, but if you click run report, this gives you a list of all users in your system and the security roles that they're associated to. So it's really handy, and it's just worth knowing that it's there. So this is every user in the system, and it's got a wee dot for each of the security roles that's got access to them. And you can export that to all the different file formats, CSV, PDF, I think it's there, PowerPoint, that's a new one, didn't realise PowerPoint was there. But you can export that, but you can build reports like this within Dynamics 365 as well. And it's kind of got a kind of wizard interface. And the benefit of building reports in there is that you can group records together. You can do that through views now, through editable grids and things like that, but it's just adds another option for doing paginated reports and exporting to PDF. And if you were to create SSRS reports, you would create one of these reports and upload that SSRS report to them. So although I'm not going to touch on it too much because it's not used much now, it is very important to know that it is there, and there's a whole report builder in there, although albeit very basic. The other things I was going to kind of brush over are Excel and Word templates. So if you go into Power Platform Admin Center and choose your environment, this is probably, I think it's a really good feature within Power Apps, but it's not used very much. So within settings, and if you go to templates, we have document templates, we have Excel and Word templates. And to create a new one, click new, and it allows you to download a Word template or an Excel template, and you can build within Excel and Word. And then the idea is you build it, and you can put place marks in for your data or view of data, and then you can upload it to be used against the associated entity. So again, upload it and just click to your Excel Word template there. Now, to show you what that looks like in action and the benefit of it, if I go to an account record again, I'm just going to pick Northwind again. Just going to know that there's data in there. Northwind traders. Up the top here, if I click this ellipse, click Word templates. These are ones that come out the box. I'm not sure if these come out the box with Power Apps or it's just Dynamics, but you can create these. You've got this Word templates thing here. This is the Word templates that are associated to the account record. Open that, we'll export that to Word, and it'll populate the Word template with data. So you can kind of build up a report, save it to PDF. You can actually, there is functionality, and it isn't only in Dynamics 365 for Sales that you can automatically create a PDF from this. That's the Word templates, which is available in Power Apps. For the views, if I went to a view of opportunities, again, I can select any view, and I can hit Excel templates, and there's one here called Pipeline Management. That's me opening Excel online, but you can open it. Let's not open Excel online then. Let's open it in. This probably don't have a license for Excel. Let's download it. I don't think I've got a license in my trial tenant. But yeah, so you can see kind of what it would look like. So essentially, when you download your template, you have your associated to a view, and then you do your report, your building within Excel. I'm no good with Excel at all, so that's why I don't really use them that much. But you do your building within Excel, and when you upload that template, any view that you select and you pull the Excel template off, it just populates the data in Excel. So it's another feature. The other thing, and this is just a very quick one again, is the ability to embed Power BI tiles and Power BI dashboards into your model-driven apps. So in order to do that, so that Power BI icon I showed you earlier isn't there by default. You have to go into the Power Platform Admin Center again in order to get that. So within your environment and your settings, you can go to Products and Features, and you've got this Embed Content button here. So if you enable that, that allows you to embed Power BI visualization into your model-driven apps. So if I go to, I've already got it enabled. If I go to a dashboard, and now I have one pre-built. Let's look at it in Power BI. There we go. And it's one of the sales ones. So we've got a very fancy Power BI dashboard in here. Sales pipeline, very feature rich, and I can just pull that into my Dynamics environment. Sorry, not my Dynamics environment, my model-driven app environment. By hitting New Power BI dashboard, and it gives you available choose the workspace, choose the dashboard, hit Save. And if I've got a Power BI license, again, users must have Power BI license. That's a fully featured Power BI dashboard within your model-driven app, and so it has all the filters as well. So I can click and get kind of a lot of the functionality of Power BI within the model-driven app. The benefit of this is that, so this data, this is test data that's in here. This doesn't even exist within my Dataverse environment. It's just sample data. So the benefit I find in this is, obviously, Power BI, you can pull loads and loads of data together, but also you can access data which are not in your Dataverse environment. So maybe in somewhere else, some other database, and give visibility of it into your model-driven apps for users that need it. And you can embed these tiles onto forms as well. So your account form could contain a list of sales orders related to that account, so you can see the health of that account and some fancy Power BI visuals within the account form. So that was a whistle-stop tour of reporting within the Dataverse. I would recommend you start off with a Dynamics 365 trial, even if Dynamics 365 you're not familiar with it, because you can install sample data in it, and you get all that, all those charts there are free, and you can just start, well, not free because it's a trial, but they're already pre-built. You can go in, edit them, check them out, change them, create new ones, and again, you don't need a data set to run it against. You've already got that in your sample data, and then just start amending reporting components that you've seen tonight. And that's all from me. That's quite a long one, actually. Any questions or anything?